Opening a checking account isn't the first thing people think of when they walk into the post office, but a new report out today makes the case for postal banking for Canadians. It was released by the Canadian Union of Postal Workers. It suggests that more people, especially those in remote communities, would get better service. Postal banking would end up saving Canadians money with more affordable services, and it would be profitable for Canada Post. Joining us now to make the case for postal banking is Mike Palisak. He is the national president of the Canadian Union of Postal Workers. So I didn't know this, Mike, but apparently post offices used to do banking up until 1968. Why did it end?
Well, absolutely. The postal bank existed in this country from Confederation right up until 1968, when it was killed under pressure from the big banks, to be blunt about it. But if you look internationally, postal banking is a success around the world. In most countries, there's a public bank operated through the post office, and this is something that really makes sense in a country as large as Canada.
Now, why would it save people money?
Well, because right now you have the big six banks that more or less control the market. They made a combined profit of $40 billion last year, and they did that by charging some of the highest bank fees in the world. Now, they've been able to do this precisely because there's no public option to bring some sanity to this market.
So how would the post office do things differently? What would be different about banking at the post office instead of the bank?
Well, the main thing that would be different between a public bank and a private bank is that the private banks are in the business to make money, where a public bank would be in the business to offer services to people that need it in our communities, and to more or less break even doing that, or to bring in some revenue that can be used for other services. So there's a stark difference in that sense. But the main thing also is that Canada Post has the largest retail network in the country. There are over 6,000 post offices across the country, and with a gradual plan to roll that out to as many of those as you can, it would instantly be the most accessible bank in the country.
And now this is moving forward in some ways, isn't it? I see that there's an NDP motion that is coming to a vote very soon. Is that right?
Yeah, there is a growing traction around this idea, and we know that we have support from people on the Hill, from policymakers in various places, because it's an idea that works, and frankly, it's a proven model that is working around the world. You can't find me an example of an unsuccessful postal bank.
And what about security, though? I mean, people go in and rob banks, and, you know, your staff or the people who work for the post office, they're usually just, you know, dealing with stamps and packages.
Well, certainly security is always a concern at the post office and in any business where we handle a lot of valuable goods that are mailed about. That would be something that has to be considered for sure. But we also have a highly regulated workforce where everybody working there has passed a federal security screening, is bondable. So we're absolutely able to provide that kind of security to customers, I think, better than most of the private banks.
All right. Well, we'll see what happens with it. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.
Mike Palisak is national president for the Canadian Union of Postal Workers.